In this video, I'm going to discuss the distance time graph from lesson 13, motion and time. We might have seen that newspapers, magazines, etc. present information in various forms of graphs to make it interesting. The type of graph shown in the figure is known as bar graph. So this is the bar graph, and this particular bar graph showing the runs scored by a team in each over. Then you see another type of graphical representation is a pie chart, and this particular pie chart is showing the composition of air. Then you see a graph shown in the figure, that is the left hand side, is an example of a line graph which is showing the change in weight of man with age. Now, what is the distance time graph? The motion of objects showing relationship between distance traveled and time taken to cover that distance can be represented in a diagram formed by drawing their distance time graph. A distance time graph shows how the distance traveled by a moving object changes with time. A graph are generally plotted on a graph paper. Let us learn to make a distance time graph of the following data. So here that means this table shows the motion of a car. That means the car 0 minute it covers the 0 distance, 1 minute 1 kilometer, 2 minutes 2 kilometer, 3 minutes 3 kilometer, 4 minutes 4 kilometer, and 5 minutes 5 kilometer. Now with the help of this data we have to make a distance time graph. How to make that distance time graph? Now for that we have to draw two lines at right angle to each other on a graph paper. So this is the two lines which are right angle to each other on a graph paper. Now we have to mark this horizontal line as OX or X axis, and we have to mark the vertical line as OY or the Y axis. The point of intersection of OX and OY, that is OX and OY, is known as origin O. After that, we have to label the x-axis by drawing time, by writing time and its unit minute in brackets followed by an arrow. Similarly, we have to label y-axis by writing distance and its unit kilometer in brackets followed by an arrow. We should choose suitable scales so as to represent the large values of time and distance conveniently on the small graph paper. Say for example, time, that is the 1 minute, is equal to 1 centimeter or a big square on x-axis. So this is the OX, that or the x-axis, or OY y-axis. So what we have to do, we have to write here the time and each unit in the minute inside the bracket, and here we have to write the distance and the bracket we have to write kilometer. After that we have to choose the suitable scale. So we have to take the big square as 1 kilometer and 1 minute. That means is equal to 1 centimeter. So we have to take in this way each and every big square is equal to 1 centimeter is equal to 1 kilometer in case of distance and 1 minute in case of time. Then we have to mark the values for the time and the distance on the respective axes according to the scale we have chosen. That means from 0 to 1, that means 1 big square is equal to 1 minute, another 1 2, that means another 1 minute 3. So in this way we have to mark the values of the time, okay, and then we have to also mark the values of the distance, like 1 big square is equal to 1 kilometer in case of one distance and 1 minute in case of the time. Then mark one point on the graph paper where the graph lines representing the values meet. That means we have to mark these lines. This point we have to mark with pencil, and after that we have to join all the marked points. We have to join all the marked points and we will get a straight line. So this is the distance time graph for the motion of the car. Hope you all have understood how to plot or how to make a distance type graph on a graph paper.